All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Serious Angler podcast, powered by our friends over at X2 Power Batteries. We're back with the captain, Mr. Andy Full. And as always, I'm your host, Bailey Egbrett. Andy, it's Friday. Another week is in the books. That means the weekend is here. What's going on, my friend?
Getting tired of walking. I've been walking a lot the last couple weeks. My body hurts, but no complaints. It's the weekend.
You might be tired of walking. I'm tired of sitting in my desk, so I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I forgot what I was at, but I know as of 2 weeks ago, I was at like almost 100 miles in like 2 weeks of walking. So, and this week I've done probably 16 or 17 so far. So we're moving.
Okay, totally random. We're already getting on a tangent. Shocking. We're a minute in.
Yeah.
Here we go. What is a snack food wise a day like that when you're guiding on the streams, or even I probably argue too that you guys can confirm this. Like when you're scouting, you put on probably more miles than when you're guiding.
Yeah, 100%.
What do you bring to eat, if anything? Because knowing you either probably don't bring nothing, or you have like a full gauntlet.
So yeah, it depends on the day, right? Like some days there's nothing and just like a bottle of water when I'm rushing and I'm running late. But normally like I have Uncrustables, so I'll pull those out in the morning. I take an Uncrustable with me.
Genius.
Yes, usually like a granola or a protein bar, and if I have time to stop at the store, I'll get like a Pedialyte so I don't have to carry a bunch of water with me to keep the electrolytes going. Yeah, so
liquid IV, buddy.
Try to keep it light, and usually an Uncrustable and a protein bar, and we're pretty good. But I figured it out like with the Apple Watch. The one hike I did with the client, we did almost 10 miles in 8 hours, and I burned 2,600 calories and climbed 28 flights of stairs.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Dude, that's got to be quite the workout. Like, it's a total personal question, but like, if you were tracking how much weight you lose during steelhead season, it's probably nuts.
Yeah, if I ate healthier, right? Like usually when I get home, I'm like, all right, yeah, give me like 2 plates of spaghetti, 3 hamburgers. Like I'm starving, and then I usually throw like ice cream in after it because I'm like,
so it all comes full circle.
Yeah. So then by the morning, I'm like, God, why did I eat so much just to do this again? Like dying.
Yeah. Oh man.
But, yeah. Like if I ate healthier, I'd probably lose probably 20 pounds because I got like 15, 20 pounds of gear on me that I have 2 packs, a net in my back, a rod, clients' rods. Like we're moving.
You look like that Boy Scout kid from Up.
Yes.
That's exactly. What you look like.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, dude, you mentioned the Pedialyte thing. That was something I was actually big on when I was an athlete. But total side plug here, liquid IV is the freaking crap. And if anybody knows what that is, it's like a simple pack. You put it in one little water bottle, and it equals like the hydration levels of 3 water bottles.
Yeah,
people are athletes,
I need to get a bunch of that.
It is. But hey, if anybody wants to save 30% off of liquid IV, shoot me a DM, my personal account, and I'll hook you guys up. But nonetheless, fun episode today coming up. We got our boy, Mr. Steve Estes from BassFishin Electronics joining us. He lives near a lake right now that I would love to experience in the fall. We'll tease him a little bit because he doesn't have a boat at the moment. But I guess either way, neither do I technically. But
yeah, you're the only one who has a functioning piece of watercraft. We're not even gonna,
piece of watercraft.
We're not even going to qualify it as a boat. It's a piece of watercraft.
What's a 1/3?
Yes, third watercraft with like a 12-volt trolling motor. So you're going places. But
hey, I'm going faster than you boys. That's what I'm saying.
That's facts because I'm walking. So
right. I'm the lazy guy in a freaking kayak with an electric motor. But nonetheless, we're gonna have some fun conversation today. And really fast for you guys before we get into today's show. Quick reminder: Omnia Fishing, 25% off all Lew's rods and reels right now, as well as reminder on the Project Purple giveaway that we're doing right now is ending next Tuesday. So next Tuesday night we will announce the winner. If you want to get in on that and donate for a good cause, That link is linked down below, as well as the rec lending giveaway that runs till January 6th. You guys got some time, but for that one, it's $10,000 in cash and prizes that's up for grabs, and it's free to enter. But joining us next Tuesday night, coming back on the show, it's been a minute, is our good pal, Mr. Caleb Bell, who's been
that'll be a good one. It's been a
on
while.
TVA, guiding and catching some freak giants, and Caleb always drops some dang juice every time he's on the show. So looking forward to getting him back on here. If you guys have not caught up yet, Kayak Fishing Weekly, we dropped our 3rd episode of that series this past, it was actually, good gosh, it was yesterday. And so you guys can go check that one out. We just talked, Justin and I, because Justin finished 3rd at the Hobie Tournament of Champions last week on Lake Chickamauga, where you could win up to, first prize was 30 grand. 30 grand of a kayak ain't too shabby.
Not at all.
So check that one out. And then we're having Christine Fisher on for next week's episode. So
bringing on the heavy hitters, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we got some really good conversations in the hopper that we're planning out that we're gonna make for some really, really good episodes. So if you guys are into kayak fishing or just enjoy that conversation in general, Kayak Fishing Weekly, you can find it anywhere you listen to Serious Angler, as well as on YouTube. Just stick around because those episodes come on the same YouTube channel that you guys are watching right now.
Awesome.
Yeah. But nonetheless, Andy, without further ado, let's get him on here. Mr. Steve Estes, what's going on, man?
Hey guys, how's it going tonight?
It's good. It's good. I love every time we have you on, it's just a BFE billboard behind you.
Yeah, it's great.
I figured out how to do it one time, and now I have no clue how I even did it.
Just stuck.
Hey, just leave it. You don't need anything else.
Can't go back now.
That's right.
I think that's a smart choice.
But dude, we're talking earlier, up in your neck of the woods, old Champlain. Just a big bummer that you mentioned you're boatless at the moment.
Yeah, there's just hundreds of smallmouth swimming around right now waiting for a silver buddy, and I'm stuck here at the shop with no boat. So,
and will any of your friends let you borrow their boat to go, or do you just kind of have to go co-angler status and have no control?
Yeah, co-angler. I mean, I have had a couple people offer, but I'd hate to use somebody else's boat, just in case anything ever happened. But I got bigger plans for next year. We're gonna have a backup boat, so this won't happen anymore.
I feel like you're the boss over there, so you should just take somebody else's that work at the shop.
Yeah.
Sorry,
it's gonna be a week longer.
Like, hey, I'll pay you overtime. Let me snag that boat of yours.
Just take a different boat out of the shop each week.
Yeah, there you go. You don't have to know, as long as you don't break anything. They don't know it's gone.
Now, do you have any lakes closer to you that fish pretty good in the fall as well, or is it really like you have to go to Champlain to?
No, you can go to some small lakes. I mean, they're real small, but there's plenty of lakes in New Hampshire that have some good smallmouth in it for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
We went out last weekend, and we had like 21 pounds in our best 5. So they're around. That was in New Hampshire.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, not on Champlain, you're saying? Like,
right.
That's cool.
That makes sense why you blurred out the background and did some epic photos.
Yeah, you like those quality skills on the Photoshop.
Yeah,
I was trying just to blur the background. It came out with the boat flooding, so I thought I'd just leave it.
You look like freaking Avatar out there, just levitating above the water with fish.
Stuffed a few waves there, bud.
Yeah. If anybody didn't know any better, they probably thought you were wading in the lake to fish that day. But, yeah. Does Champlain get pounded this time of year? Like, is it busy, or is everybody pretty much off and done?
Yeah, no, you pretty much have it to yourself. I mean, there's one popular bay that everybody goes in. So if you go there, you'll have a little bit of company. But if you venture out on the main lake, you won't even see another boat.
Wow. It's nuts. Like, I don't think a lot of people that at least have never seen, like, let's picture this for people that are like at a Toledo Bend, something like that, people that have been on that lake, picture that lake, but not seeing a boat all day long.
Right.
You don't think it's possible, but Champlain's protected enough in regards to location that it's pretty, isolated to an extent.
I feel like that on Erie in the fall or like early spring, and I'm the only one out there, and I'm like, if something goes wrong, I am royally screwed. because it is cold, it's wavy, and I'm 10 to 14 miles from the boat launch in the main lake. It's never a good feeling.
I don't know, Andy. The Bills are sucking royally this year, so it might be a little bit more packed out on Erie now on the weekends.
Yeah. But I mean, it didn't matter anyways. They play at 4:25 the rest of the year, except for one game. So
yeah, but if you're a Bills fan, tailgating starts Friday night. Unless they play on Thursday, it starts Friday night. Everyone's there. Everyone's already hammered by the time it's Sunday morning.
Where I live, Steve, if I make a left, I'm at the Bills Stadium in like 6 minutes. The traffic backs up basically all the way to my where my street turns out on the main highway leading to the Bills Stadium. So we have a thing here like Sunday mornings. If you have to travel east or north, you just don't go. It's south
not
or
an
west.
option.
And if I go west, I'm at the lake in like a minute and a half, so I can't go very far west. So
we should honestly, this is total tangent. Like where your house is at, Andy, we should totally just send a drone up in the air and you could probably see the game from there.
Yeah, probably, honestly. Like, I'm trying to think how many streets over it is that
pretty
would
close.
run. Yeah, it's probably like 4 or 5 lights away.
I don't think people know how to measure in lights.
It's two. It's like 3.25 miles from my house. So you'd have to get up pretty high.
Oh, worth a shot. But nonetheless, getting back to fishing talk, because if we go football here, we'll never come back.
Yeah, like the end of our last episode for those who tuned in.
Yeah, Steve, we had a straight up sports talk for the past last 30 minutes of last episode.
That's good.
Surprisingly, people stuck around, but nonetheless, out your way. Obviously, we hit that temperature range where it becomes pretty difficult to catch largemouth, at least like consistently, because there's hunkered down. Whereas smallmouth can still remain a little bit more charged up and catch them in numbers. But out your way right now, what does that largemouth bite look like in compared to the amount you're catching smallmouth?
Yeah, I mean for me, I mean I just target smallmouth this time of year just because they're so much more active. So I mean I know a few local guys that have caught some big ones lately. It definitely can be done. But I learned something interesting probably like 2 years ago on a really small pond here that's got some big largemouth and some decent smallmouth. But I would see there's not a wide variety of fish in the lake. So you don't, it's not like you get mixed up with walleye or something like that. So I'd see these big schools of fish swimming around and I never could figure out what they were because they look like bass. And I was reeling in a silver buddy. Like I burned it in one time from a cast and like a 4.5 pound largemouth came up with it. And I was like, the light went off. There's schools of 20 largemouth swimming around and they just will not bite anything. It doesn't matter what you throw at them, but they stay in these super tight schools and they just slowly roam around back and forth through like this one little area.
And they won't eat, period. There's like no.
I've never got one to bite.
Wow. Largemouth.
I got a recommendation for you. Pick you up a cast net. You'll get a bite.
Electrofish.
Yeah.
I need to drop the AquaView down there and see what's going on.
Yeah, that'd be the way to go. Now's the time to really have some fun with an AquaView. Just because like when those fish are when they're there, they're so condensed that could be some cool content. But I used it the other day, and I literally had I wish there was a record function in the one that I had, but I literally had a lake trout come up and like mouth at the camera. And that just proves how much lake trout are the dumbest things that swim, almost more than a pickerel.
They're like the cod of a lake. They'll just eat anything. Like I'm sure if there was a Coke bottle down 120 foot, you would probably catch it like and cut one open. It'd probably be in its stomach. So yeah, they're not very bright.
Yeah, this is probably the only time of year. I don't know what you guys think, but like from a bycatch standpoint, is the only time of year really don't mind because you're catching a lot of perch, lake trout, and it's cold enough where I don't have to worry about bringing a cooler. They go directly in the back of the kayak so that I can bring them home to eat them. But I don't mind lake trout this time of year. But.
Yeah, they fight a little bit better too when the water gets colder. So
yeah, that's fair. They move shallower too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you keep a bunch of fish, Steve, or you just straight up bass, don't care about anything else?
No, I keep fish sometimes. I used to keep them all the time. I mean, I grew up down in Virginia and we ate fish, freshwater fish all the time. I kept a bunch of crappie one day this year. I mean, to me, those are the best outside of walleye when it comes to freshwater. So, yeah, crappie, perch. I mean, try not to. I don't usually keep bass unless I got hooked one and it died or something. I've never understood why people say bass tastes like mud. I don't know. I think they're pretty good if they're fried. I mean, I'm not going to go have like a 5-star meal here on the grill or something with a largemouth, but
you're just coming home with your 20-pound bag every weekend, just cooking up fish fry for.
Oh, there goes Steve putting it back in the feed.
You really want to trigger some people, start putting those pictures up.
Yeah, everyone's taking their weigh bags back down at the docks, and you're just going straight to the boat.
Well, it's funny. I was the guy for a while growing up that took all the dead fish at the weigh-in. You know what I mean? Because everybody would just chuck them in the woods. I mean, obviously, you could tell if it'd been dead the whole day, you don't want it. But
right. Yeah. Hey, it's free food, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've never minded it. Throw it in the frying pan, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like fresh tacos. Like, who doesn't like a good fish taco? A little salsa, guac. It's good stuff.
Yeah, you cover that with enough stuff. It doesn't matter if it tastes like mud.
It's so true.
Yeah. So in your neck of the woods, when you see those temperatures dropping, especially because you say you're chasing smallmouth predominantly this time of year, when less and less people are out on the water, obviously it seems like becomes a little bit easier. I think you could argue that just for a sense of like it's easier to move around because more water is open, but also less fish are getting pressured. But like you're going to put in the boat now, you know, it's mid-November. Temperatures up there are probably somewhat similar to here, maybe like a high 40s, around that 50 mark. We're at like a low 50s, high 40s right now. Like, what is your first stop? Like, what's the first thing you're doing when you put the boat in?
I mean, for me, this time of year, it's straight to the winter holes, you know, where the smallmouth tend to gang up. And that depends on the lake. I mean, Champlain, it's mostly 40 to 60 feet is where I find them for silver buddy. But some of these smaller lakes, they like to go in like 15 to 25 feet. But the bigger lakes, I mean, I think that deeper stuff that's where I spend all my time. I've found 3 or 4 wintering holes that they go to, and they just stack up. And I mean, a couple of them you can catch them till you get sick of catching them.
That's awesome. And that's where you start with that. You start there and retreat shallow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a couple of those holes have got a lot of like 2.5s to 3.5. So you kind of get bored after a while, you know, catching 3-pounders and try to venture off and find some of those bigger ones.
I think there are people reaching through this show right now to shake you. They're like 3-pounders, you're throwing them back like you're like peasants.
They're rats. So a northern angler, a 3-pounder in the fall is literally a rat. It's just like, oh, cool.
We're having people that are thumb downing this show right now out of anger because I was talking like that. Well, they're like, I would love to catch 3-pounders until I get bored. Like, I don't think people
it's funny. I went out to Thousand Islands earlier this year, and I haven't spent any time out there. It was the second time I'd ever been out there. And I don't know, you watch everything on TV, talk to everybody, and like my expectation is at least 5-pounders in a day. And that's just not realistic when
they're all 3 to 3.5 pounders, every one of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't catch numbers when we went. We were around giants like every day. You could see them on live scope, but we would catch have an opportunity to catch probably 2 to 4 5-pounders a day, but you'd see so many of them and they wouldn't bite. But
wait, are you saying that you saw fish on live scope and they didn't automatically get in the boat? Wow, who'd have known? Sorry, I had to put it in there.
You're just causing trouble.
I know. It's all in good fun.
But it was shocking to see how finicky those fish were. I don't know if maybe I just didn't know what I was doing or what, but I don't know if that's a general consensus. But I mean, I found a boulder out in the middle of nowhere in 28 feet, and it had 2 tanks sitting on it. And anywhere that I've ever been, that's automatic. 2 big fish like that on an isolated boulder.
Yeah.
No, throw it out there. They looked at it and they're like, no, we've seen that before.
Try again. Which is crazy to me because, like, I did hear through several people that the river specifically this year was fishing rather tough. I've heard rumblings of potential fish kill. I've heard maybe it's pressure. I don't know what it is. Again, I don't spend all that much time. I maybe get up there 2-3 times a year. But I also heard that like the American side specifically too from Lake Ontario was rather tough. Like there were certain schools that would fire throughout certain windows of the day. But for the most part, if you went to Canada, that's like it's for whatever reason when you cross the border, it's like, yeah, we're gonna eat fish. We're gonna eat all of your baits now when you're in Canada. I don't know. I feel like it's a hard thing. That water's so vast, it's hard to picture that becoming quote unquote pressured. Like when you go to a Chickamauga, that's pressure.
Right.
I don't
That's
know.
what I don't understand. Like we actually had the opportunity. We got 4 days on the main lake. We were really fortunate with weather, and I was so excited. And like the second or third day, I pulled up to a boulder out off an island, and the first cast, a 5.5 pounder, just swam off the boulder and ate it. And I look back at my dad, and I'm like, this is going to be the day, Yeah, no. I threw it like 20 more fish out there, and I think I caught one.
Dude, I don't know what that is. I don't know what it was. I mean, I guess next year, we'll kind of see where this trend goes, right? When it comes to up there, because everyone thinks it's this mecca, and as soon as season's open, it seems like you see all these Southerners are magically posting giants on bed from St. Lawrence and Lake Ontario once the season's open up there. So it definitely hits some pressure there, but I don't know. We'll see where that trends to see if maybe it is something. Maybe it's just like an off year, like Andy talked about. Erie being kind of tough right now from just like a harder north wind on average this year.
I think that's what a lot of it was wind direction. It pushes against the natural flowing current, and they just don't set up right, and they don't eat all the time. And we had so much north and east wind this summer that it just messed with all the natural current. Even here in Buffalo, like it was the most north wind and east wind I've ever seen through a summer, and it just messes everything up.
It definitely was off. You could tell. Like I found a school on a little underwater finger coming out, and there was probably 12 to 20 fish in that school. And just for curiosity's sake, I sat on them for like 15 minutes throwing different baits. And after 15 minutes, I finally got one to trigger, and it was only a 3.5. So it's not like it's giant smart fish. Like these fish should have been dumb, but they weren't.
Yeah. At that rate, like, I mean, even in general, though, I guess when I'm up there, don't get me wrong, I love throwing light line and catching like bigs out deep, doing that thing. But there's something about that place with how crystal clear it is and how shallow fish are everywhere. Taking like a big spinner bait, I've seen people throw glides, jerkbait, chatterbait, whatever, and like power fishing shallow. I don't care if they're 3.5 pounders. To me, I'm having more fun if I'm catching 40 of them doing that than.
It is wild how shallow you can go and catch them and see them swimming and everything. That is a really neat aspect of that river for sure.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like even when you're not catching them, you're seeing them up there, and it's just like I don't know what if it's just the kid in me that's tapping on the glass of the fish tank kind of concept where I'm just mesmerized by seeing everything, but it's a super cool location in regards to even if you're not catching, you're just so intrigued by everything that's going on. Whether it's 10-foot waves coming in off the lake or there's small amounts of shallow, it's always something up there. But yeah, I mean, so to get back on track, what we were talking about earlier, you start at where the winter holes will be this time of year, and then if they're not there, are you usually just trying to go where they might be as they move up through the spring, or what's your approach to that if they're not in the winter holes?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like on Champlain, I mean, this time of year, it's pretty much a guarantee that they're going to be in those winter holes. But if they weren't, then I just start running. I have some rock areas, in like 20 to 30 feet. So I just start running all those spots, and you'll catch one here, one there. I mean, a couple years I've caught them like ganged up on certain areas, but I learned they don't go back to those, or maybe it's just a timing deal. You know what I mean? Like I pulled up to a rock pile one time and there was like 30 on it. And we just sat there catching one after another, but I've never found them on that rock pile since. So
it's weird.
I just feel like they're moving so much this time of year. They go on they get on some rock stuff in September and they feed up on crawfish and all that. And I think after that, they make a huge move, and it's just a matter of running into them in that transition.
Yeah. You mentioned the silver buddy. Are there any other mainstays bait wise that you're throwing this time of year?
I'm going to have 3 different types of silver buddy side on and a Ned rig, and that's about it. Maybe a spider grub.
Spider. Oh,
that's a good one. A little different.
Yeah. Are you for the silver buddy? Are you a spinning setup guy or are you a bait caster guy?
Yeah, I don't know. I've thrown it on both, but I like throwing it on a spinning rod. But I do set the hook like I'm throwing a jig.
Yeah. Because you're probably making casts with it, right? You're not probably.
Yeah, I'm not just dropping down. Yeah.
Andy's triggered right now.
No, I'm not. I just always like 99% of the time I throw blade baits 3/8, half, or 3/4, and I'm like bait caster, 10-pound test, and I just think it's more fun to flip them. So that's where I lean.
Yeah, I definitely noticed though, like with casting gear, it sucks to try to like make long casts and work a blade bait legitimately. Where it's like if you're ripping vertically, obviously it makes sense. Where it almost seems like if you're going to be doing both, like if you can get up on that school and they're not going to be, too temperamental with a boat on top of them, then obviously you can pull that out. But if like you're making long casts, it seems like, especially because you have that braid to the spinning, that just way more feel. It seems like that's the way better.
Yeah, I just like that subtle movement, and I like to feel them when they hit it, and I just feel like it's just so much more sensitive on a spinning rod.
Makes sense.
I can get down with that. Yeah, that's fine.
And he's fighting his inner urge.
No. Like, and that's the best part about fishing is everyone has their own confidence in the way they do things. So, and I'm 99% of the time up and down. Like I'm hardly ever casting a blade bait out. So different.
I like to kind of set off on the side of the humps and just cast at it and just spot lock and sit in the same place and make casts. I don't know just how I've always done it, but
never move.
Yeah, you really don't have to.
Dude, what Steve says is literally get bored catching 2.5 pounders.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that except for getting bored, right? Like, how spoiled are we that we get bored? That's the real question.
Now, Andy, one thing you've told me in the past that has been interesting to try to monitor and get self-experience, but there comes a time in the fall, getting into the winter, where it seems like there's a temperature that once you hit it, it is extremely hard to catch like your true giant smallmouth. It's almost like they stop eating to a sense. Yeah. Do you experience anything like that, Steve? Where once you hit a current threshold of temperature, it's hard to catch like a giant?
Are you saying like when it gets really cold?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it really just depends on the area for me. I mean, I can still see, some areas seem to hold bigger ones, but you don't catch a ton of big ones, I guess. That's true. A lot of like 3.5s, and then you'll just randomly get a 4. But it's not like you're catching all 4-pounders.
Right. So like that's where we're spoiled here is like every fish will be like 4.5 to 4 3/4, but to get above that 4 3/4 threshold, and there's tons of 5s and 6-pounders and some 7s out there, but all of our fish tend to go like to one area. If you pan live scope around or any forward facing, it's just littered with smallmouth, and getting the bigger ones to bite it before the 4 to 4.5 pound rats, as we call them, rats, bite the bait. It's like almost impossible.
See, I'm not even as spoiled as you. We don't get those big ones here.
So Bailey got to experience like a November day with our buddy Jeff and Destined to Marry, and how just ludicrous it can be. But you got some big ones. That wasn't a November day.
That was New Year's Eve.
Yeah. It was 170 something bass.
It was like 140. We had we were 4 ounces off a 30-pound bag. But like every fish was on. We had one person. We were all dual wielding and just like tangling lines, running all over the boat. It would be like a Ned rig and a blade bait in one hand, and you're just dual wielding. And you're like holding one fish on one rod between your knees and reeling in the other one. And you're just like, this is dumb. But yeah, I mean, there's people that you're gonna get canceled now for saying that, Andy.
Yeah, it's fine, but like it's so hard to catch one over like 6 1/4 when it's like that. Like a 6-pounder is really hard to come
really
by.
bad for you.
Yeah,
it's traumatic.
This is how I feel when Andy comes back. He goes, "Oh, I'm exhausted. I was fishing all day. I was working.
Caught like
I want to
50.
strangle you through the screen."
88 degrees outside and no wind.
Oh, you poor thing. I'm sitting here sweating in the office now. What time of year do you usually stop fishing, Steve? Like, when does it become up there where it locks up?
It really just depends on the year, but this is around this time of year is, typically when I stop, around Thanksgiving. It starts to get to the point, where you're sliding down the ramp and stuff like that, in the mornings, when you bring the water up on the ramps, and it gets a little sketchy. And I'm not really into wanting to run off the road this time of year and stuff like that. So plus the salt all over the trailer. And fortunately we haven't had that yet this year, but it just gets a little sketchy. I'm not that diehard. I know guys that carry bags of sand with them in the back of the truck,
Yeah. Well, hey, if you ever want to keep fishing throughout that, you can come join me in the kayak side of things. Because worst case scenario, all you do is you're just sledding down into the. Good. I did that one
and ride down the ramp.
Dude, I did it one time. We had 2 feet of snow, and there was snow on the ramp, and there was like no way for me to like try and clear it. So I quite honestly pushed my kayak on top of the snow and angled it. It's the last time I'll ever do this because I almost went like in doing it, but I'm like, screw it. Like, this will be fun. I'm at the ramp anyways. I can get out quick. And I quite literally just sledded down the ramp and into the lake. It was fun. Thank God it was only a 10-foot ramp, because any longer I probably would have been way worse. But I went nose in and like flooded the whole thing. And I'm like, that was pretty stupid, but that was pretty fun. Didn't have a GoPro that day, of course. But
you've got to be freezing in a kayak that time of year, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cold. It's pretty cold.
The Blackfish Arid gloves come in handy.
Yeah, Blackfish everything dressed up like a marshmallow, pretty much. You can't really
you can barely move.
And cash for the motor, because I'm usually not. I mean, there's times where I'll just bring the motor up and pedal because I need to get warm. Like, I just start moving around. But I don't go too often when it's that cold, and if I do, I try to go with a buddy, because that can be pretty scary. Being in a little plastic boat when the boat is literally covered.
Unless it's the spring. In the spring, he'll go out and venture by himself. That would be wild.
Well, yeah, because in the spring, there's 34,000 boats out there that are all getting on the same bite. Everybody else. Fair. Where in the fall, everyone's in a tree stand.
Yeah, especially starting this weekend in New York. It's opening weekend of rifle or shotgun season, I believe.
Yes, all the above.
Yeah.
Yep. We my buddy John Tamero and Forrest Bucking, we're going to do a little creek float, and we're prepared to have all the GoPros for what it sounds like World War III is happening as we're going down the creek. We're like we're having a little group chat. We're like, hey, make sure we wear orange this weekend when we go down this creek float. Last thing we need is kayak angler get shot trying to fish down creek.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a guide trip Saturday, and where I've been fishing, I don't know if I'll be able to go there Saturday morning for that 10-mile hike, but it's literally like dead smack in the middle of public land hunting. And there's already been people down there like shooting squirrels and stuff. You just hear bang, bang. You're like, I'm going to have to wear orange from here on out through the end of the season, because I'm probably going to get shot at.
That would be wise. Yeah, I'd definitely wear orange.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, we're down in I think the bluff walls surrounding the creek are 1,500 feet tall, and rocks are falling all day on us, close to us. It's great.
I would take rocks over getting shot at.
Yeah, it's fair, but
at least the rock's coming at you.
Yes. Yeah, it's a little funky down there.
Yeah, but nonetheless, Steve. So, like, on the flip side, non-fishing side, but like in the shop for you guys this year, what does November to December look like? Is it slow? Is it just like a regroup for next year? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's it hasn't been slow at all this year. We've still been pretty much fully booked. I mean, not booked like a spring schedule, but enough to keep everybody busy. And we stay super busy with like the Black Friday sales coming and all that. So tons of product coming in and having to organize that. And just planning sales out. But yeah, I mean, we've had decent weather, so guys are still bringing their boats in and trying to beat the spring rush. So
it's a smart choice.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot more sense, and we don't have to rush through things, and it's definitely a good time of year to bring your boat in for sure.
So for people, I got a bunch more questions on this because that just sparked a bunch in my head here. Like this time of year, for somebody that isn't fortunate enough to live close to a bass fishing electronics, and say it's just gonna be simple, want to winterize, put it in the garage type of deal. Like when it comes to batteries or whatever, what are some simple tips for people to take care of their stuff before they put it away for the winter?
Yeah, there's been a big push. Everybody's changing to lithium, so we've had that call probably 2 or 3 times a day for the last couple of weeks. With a lot of guys with their lithiums, and it's different than when you had lead acids and AGMs. You had to make sure you bring those inside so they wouldn't freeze. Especially the lead acids. So. And you'd have to keep a trickle charge on them. So, I mean, that obviously still stands true for your lead acids and AGMs. But when it comes to lithiums, they recommend storing them. You don't even have to store them inside. I mean, you can leave them out in the cold. But you want to store them at like 60 to 80% charge. They don't recommend leaving them at full charge. So, you don't have to get your calculator out or be perfect on a Bluetooth app. Just turn your graphs on and your fish finder on for a little while and let them drain down. But you don't want to keep them at a full charge, and you don't need to keep them plugged into a charger, especially if you're leaving them outside, because you're not supposed to charge below 32 degrees. So, but yeah, I mean, I had, back when we were at the house, working out of the house, I had a storage unit, and we kept batteries in the storage unit, not heated or anything through the whole winter, and never had a single issue with any of them. So that's kind of the nice part about lithium. You don't have to lug them in and out and worry about them getting cold.
Yeah, where people that are still using the lead acids are like, yeah, I got to get ready to buy some new ones for next year. I mean, that's what most people do, where it's, not a lot of people have come around to the fact that if you use a boat a good amount, and you can certainly get away with lead acids. You certainly don't need lithium. But like Steve was just saying here, you don't need to make your yearly or maybe 2 times a year trip to Walmart to go grab more lead acids, or you can just invest in a nice set of batteries, even if it's just AGM, and be able to get away just fine with those, and it'll perform a lot better.
Thanks for the friendly reminder. I was thinking about taking my boat from where it's at and just putting it away. And because of this conversation, I'm like, oh, I got to get my batteries out of my boat still. So, yeah, great. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
I'm surprised more. I mean, we are seeing a ton of guys make the switch to lithium for sure. And once you can get over that big price increase, I mean, and wrap your head around how long they last, and it really is a no-brainer. Just the steady voltage output and not having to maintain them in the wintertime, and there's just so many pluses to them. I can't imagine not using lithium anymore.
Yeah, I feel like when you get over a certain threshold, like when you go and buy a boat, and you're not the kind of guy that gets a new boat every year kind of deal, like it almost just makes way more sense to get them. Like if you're already spending, upwards of $30,000 to $60,000 on a new boat, and I mean for some people way more than that, why not grab that? You know what I mean? You're already spending that much money. Invest in it. That way you don't have to worry about, because if you're going off the lead acids, you're making a trip or two a year to go get new batteries. At the end of the day, you're going to be spending just as much money. It's just,
I think a lot of the problems the reason why people are still so scared of lithium or hesitant of lithium is because there's so much bad info online, and there's so many mechanics that have an old school mentality of it's not compatible with the motor. And it's just not true with these newer batteries. And I'm sure there's certain brands that have some trouble with the BMS boards, but any brand that's got like a high output or a BMS board made for cranking motors, I've literally never in 4 years seen an outboard alternator issue caused by a brand lithium that we sell. So I just have no reason to believe that there's ever going to be a motor issue from a lithium. So outside of that, we still get the question once or twice a month of, is my boat going to catch on fire, from I think that happened to Chris Lane forever ago, right? 8 years ago or whenever that was.
Yeah.
You know, me personally, I've never heard of a boat catching on fire since I started doing this. So I just think there's a lot of bad info out there and old type mentality. You know what I mean?
Misinformation.
Yeah. Let's not go down that path.
Yeah. There's a lot of it out there. Like on episodes, we give the precursor when it's just Andy and I. There might be some misinformation. Whereas when we get on people like Steve, no, you can believe everything you hear, just not from Andy and I. Let's put that precursor out there. More just jokes, but yeah, I think nowadays you just got to take a lot of stuff with a grain of salt and have a, what do you call it? What do they call it? A large sample size. Like if you're gonna, don't go and watch just one video or use one resource, talk to one person. Like if you're one, if you are serious about it, like make some calls, reach out to Steve here at BassFishin Electronics, find the experts, because certainly if you go down to your local boat store, whatever it may be, you might not run into the most credible source. Or even if you go on YouTube, Lord knows how many videos are out there that have the wrong information nowadays. But yeah, I can understand it. Was it Mercury that had if you use a lithium, it would void the warranty or something like that?
Yeah, and Yamaha still kind of walks that line, but I don't know. We have so many customers with Yamahas who've never had an issue with lithium. So I personally ran them for a couple of years with the Yamaha show and never had a problem. So I don't know. I don't believe in that. I believe there's probably cheap batteries that could happen for sure. But I think that's your Amazon brand specials, you know, that don't have the proper BMS. But I don't know. To me, it's just a no-brainer. We've converted so many people, and I've never had a guy come back in here and say, you know, I can't believe you converted me to lithium. This has been a bad decision. That, you know, that
terrible decision. Why would you do that?
Yeah. Things you never hear.
Yeah.
There's a lot of misconception on lithium too. I think with electronics, like a lot of guys think they need dedicated batteries, and that all stems from these DeWalt specials where they got the drill battery set up separate. And you know, from my personal experience, and this may vary from other guys, but as long as you run the right power to your electronics, you can put it on the cranking battery and you're never going to have any interference. It's just about running the right wiring to it. So I think there's a big misconception there about you need a dedicated lithium, because I've tried that. You know, I ran everything on a dedicated one, and then, you know, now for the last 2 or 3 years, I run them all on the same battery. I can't personally see a difference.
That's an interesting topic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, I think that alone could make a show in itself.
Yeah.
Talking about that whole setup.
I would be open to it. I mean, if somebody can contradict me, go ahead and do it. But I just, all the comparisons you see for a lot of these brands, they kind of, you know, they kind of hide what the truth is. Like they're comparing an AGM or a lead acid, you know, live sonar screen to a lithium. And it's like, well, I mean, obviously, if you're getting 11 to 12.2 volts versus a steady 13.2 to 13.4, I mean, there's a big difference there.
Yeah, I'm not good at math, but I think there's a glaring difference there to me.
Bailey.
Yeah,
just a whole extra volt.
3 equals 7, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, 20 to the 27th. Oh, 3 days. Okay.
Hey, I've learned if somebody tells you 1 + 1 = 4, just to tell them they're right and walk away.
Right, yeah.
So, because there's no convincing them otherwise.
Yeah.
You did so good. Get a nice pat on the head.
Yeah, great job. You win.
Oh my gosh.
So yes.
Here's a random question too. For somebody that installs and is around a lot of different boat combinations, things like that, I'm curious your opinion, because there's so many people that debate this back and forth, and you see the different trends on, like, from a motor standpoint specifically. Where would you rank? And feel free to shut down this question. I don't know if you want to answer it now, but like ranking like Yamaha, Mercury, Suzuki, things like that, like from your preference or your point of view of your installs with customers and reviews, like where do you see that from, like best bang for your buck or performance type of deal?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it. I mean, all we see come through here is Mercury and Yamaha. So, I mean, 90% of the boats that come through here have a Mercury on them. I think you tend to hear more issues with Mercury, but I think that could also be because there's so many more of them out there than there is Yamaha. I ran both extensively, and I mean, I love both of them, to be honest. I think Mercury's definitely have some stuff they have to work through, but I mean, it's not like every Yamaha is perfect either. So,
right.
I don't really have a true valid opinion on which one's better.
Yeah. We never see Suzuki in here. Well, there's only 3 of them.
Right.
Only 3 in the Northeast, and all of them are in New York.
I've heard all great things about them, but when you're pulling 3 people, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, 3 versus the 70 that have Mercury.
Yeah,
or 700.
yeah,
so.
Yeah.
I mean, almost every boat that comes through, especially since COVID, has a Mercury on it because I think Yamahas were just almost impossible to get. So,
yeah. How long ago was it that Evinrude was no more? What year was that? That was pre-COVID.
that was like 3 years ago, right?
It was like 2019 or 2020.
Was it pre-COVID?
It was like right as COVID was starting.
Yeah, I feel like it was right around then.
Because I bought my Triton that had an Evinrude on it, and about 6 months later, because I bought my Triton right at the start of COVID, without any idea of what was going to go on with the economy, if we were all going to survive, like who knew what was going to happen. But yeah, so, and I think it was like 6 months into owning my Evinrude. Evinrude was like, yep, we're no longer doing it. So the parent company, which is what, BRC, I think, they're still around, but Evinrude is no longer.
BRP. I don't know why.
Definitely unfortunate timing for anybody that had just bought an Evinrude for sure. The value just went down in the gutter. I mean, it was that sucks. A lot of people got screwed.
They're still moving parts for them because BRP is still around. They still make the parts and they still cover the warranty, which is crazy to think about. It's just a little bit harder to get the parts.
Yeah, I just think you're at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to servicing it, right? Because I think you have to take it to a Mercury place, or maybe it's just somebody that's agreed. I'm not really sure how that works, but
yeah, I think you'd have to find a shop that's still Evinrude BRP certified. And a lot of times those shops are Alumacraft shops, like DV stores that sell Alumacrafts, because I think Alumacraft is coming out with like an in-haul motor that's designed by BRP. So a lot of Alumacraft boat dealerships will have Evinrude service.
I think
it's extremely rare that we see an Evinrude at this point. I don't know where they all went, but well, I guess we do know, but
junkyard.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. But
well, that was the thing with the Evinrudes. When they ran, they were bulletproof, but once they broke, like, it's just a pain in the butt to get parts, even when the company was around.
Claiming 10 years of no maintenance on a motor, to me, no matter how good it is, just seems wild. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bold moves, Cotton.
I guess they called that when they were going out of business, though, right? So, oh yeah, they go 10 years. 2 years later, they're gone.
Yeah. Good grief. Well, dude, so you brought up earlier sales, Black Friday, things like that. Obviously, you ran a pretty big one still that's going on right now, but you're up in the ante a little bit. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we tried to get a jump start. We started some sales a couple weeks ago, but we've got our true Black Friday sales starting on Saturday. So we're going to have some good deals on lithium batteries, motorized pole mounts, pretty much anything you can think of except for the big Lowrance, Garmin, Humminbird stuff that's protected by MRP. But this will definitely be our best prices of the year for sure. We always run, it's just to move product and kind of, give people the opportunity to save some money. So we'll probably run a few exclusives for like a true Black Friday sale, kind of like a doorbuster thing. But you pretty much count on from Saturday, the 20th through the 27th, we'll have our best pricing of the year.
Awesome.
That is 7 days, not 3, guys.
You math well, buddy.
Yeah. Little inside joke, but yeah, those will be pretty sweet, and we'll remind you guys as we get closer into the 20th, things like that. When some sales are coming up, we will be sure to remind you guys on the show. That way, you guys can take advantage on that window of time. But do you see a big rush this time of year when people? I mean, a lot of people are putting stuff away. Like, do you still see a big rush Black Friday wise from your shop?
People know that the sales are going to happen. There's no secret, right? So they definitely wait. I mean, our sales have been pretty crazy the last week or so. So, yeah, I mean, it'll get really crazy for next week. I'm still learning at this because we haven't been doing it that long, and our sales keep growing and growing every year. So we're kind of evolving those and trying to offer the best deals we can. But yeah, I think people definitely mark it on the calendar for sure. They know, especially electronics wise, like you won't see any better pricing than now. So
yeah, if they're not on social, they're calling your shop every day leading up to Black Friday, pretty much. You got sales?
The worst is when you sell the stuff and then they bought it like 3 days before the Black Friday sale and they want to get the refund on it. That's the toughest. Sometimes we can't offer that because, you buy product at a different price, because the companies you buy from will offer promos sometimes. So that's always an interesting one. And then you get the typical Bass Pro deal that's been created over the last few years. They run some crazy exclusive deals on some Garmin units. So we'll get that question about 100 times in the next week, maybe 200. But when you're Bass Pro buying $10 million worth of product at a time, they tend to give you a little better deal.
Yeah.
So
that's got to be frustrating to an extent. I mean, maybe not competing with a Bass Pro, but the people that'll try to buy something that's heavily on sale and then try to refund that's got to be, because you know exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah, we run into that every year. It's tough. We want to be polite and offer the best customer service we can, but it's a tough pill to swallow too when a guy walks in with an arm full of Bass Pro stuff that he just bought and wants you to throw it on the boat. So that's a little bit insulting, but we're here to help. So we try to offer the best we can. We get it. We're a consumer just like you. I buy stuff, fish and tackle. It's not like you get it for free. So I'm going to go buy the best deal I can. So you can't really hold people. It is what it is.
Yeah, I totally get that, and especially when it's that weekend warrior. Yeah, I can understand how that could be frustrating from your standpoint. But also,
but we get it too. You know what I mean? If you can save $500, I mean, $500 is a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Who knows, that $500 and the money they're saving might be what they're affording to pay you to install everything.
Right. And in all fairness, our local customers are really good. The ones that have us do installs. I mean, they'll buy whatever's on sale at Bass Pro and then come get the live scope from us or Active Target or whatever. So, I mean, we're competitive on 90% of the stuff. It's just a few exclusives they get that we can't touch. But.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Definitely.
Dude, so beyond that with the shop, I mean, anything big coming up for 2024 for whether you tournament wise or fishing wise, Bass Fishing Electronics?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have anything really too exciting as far as like the shop goes. I mean, we're just steadily growing and trying to expand out into other areas, down the East Coast. And, we've had several guys come up from Pennsylvania and stuff like that. We got some new Elite Series guy that we're going to be sponsoring. We haven't really officially announced that, so we'll hold back on that for now. So that's pretty exciting. I mean, I'm sure most people can guess if you see who just made the Elites up in this area, but yeah.
What do you know?
We're continuing our deal with Matt Becker, so we're pretty excited about that, growing that relationship, and that's been an awesome relationship, and it keeps getting better. So we're excited about that for the 2024 season.
Yeah, we just we had Maddie on. Was that a month ago? No, 3 weeks ago, Andy, something like that. Pretty recent, but
yeah, it's like maybe even 2 weeks ago. It was pretty recent.
Yeah, it was a really good show with Maddie as always. But yeah, stacked roster, and going into next year, it's going to be the pro tournament side of things. Before we dive too deep into that, because we'll end up going another hour or two if we let ourselves. That's a whole. It is wild what's going on right now. It's almost like from the outsider looking in, it's almost exciting as like the trade deadline for the NFL, like from a fan standpoint, because you're like, what is happening? Who's going where? Like it's like each day there's a new person that commits somewhere different. But nonetheless, should be a fun season regardless, and it's going to be eventful one way or another next year. And I think we're on like that brink of, from a professional fishing standpoint, that nobody knows what the heck is going to happen next.
Like Jordan Lee coming back to the Elite Series when everyone thought he'd never leave Major League Fishing. So he's
got to be the youngest guy ever to use a Legends exemption.
Yeah. Honestly, too, right? Defoe going over to Major League Fishing. That was interesting.
Yeah, that too. Was it Justin Lucas that won AOI that went over to MLF as well? So I
think from the outside looking in for us, right, it's crazy the changes that we see in MLF and stuff. But I think for those guys, it's just a business decision. It doesn't really matter for them which trail they're fishing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because they got opportunities to make plenty of money in either one. So
yeah,
to them, I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, at the end of the day, people can say what they want. I mean, from us as true fans of the sport, I don't think like we watch these guys because one, we enjoy the sport from a purist standpoint, but also we just love to learn too from these guys. I don't care what format. I'm a little bit biased in the fact that I don't care what format these guys are fishing. I just want to watch them fish because regardless, there's things to learn from them, the tendencies, the adjustments, things like that. But regardless, like you make a great point, Steve. Like if somebody, like from an angler standpoint, their decision isn't about what the community is saying. Their decision is going to be about which one is going to, one, make them more money, and two, prolong their career. They're going to look at longevity here and what's going to be best for them and their families. It's business decision. I don't think
100%. Yeah. They don't care what the perception is to the public. I mean, they do to an extent, but in the end, those are two professional organizations, and like you said, it's 100% a business decision. It's not what Sally thinks on Facebook. You know what I mean?
Sorry, Sally. And the shakeups have been quite interesting to keep up with, and a lot of new faces hitting the EQs. And oh man, I mean, looking at the trails next year, obviously, top tiers are going to be competitive as always, but man, the EQs and the NPFL all of a sudden got way more interesting in regards to the faces that'll be showing up at the boat ramp next year. It's going to be, I don't know. For whatever reason, I got some really high hopes for the NPFL 2025. Like that, you're going to see some things really shake up over there from a heightened attention standpoint, especially after you're going to see 30 guys have to leave, which means they're probably already made a phone call to old Brad Fuller, and they're like, "Hey, 2025, can I put my check in?" Trying to get in on that. I mean,
yeah, I'm sure they are.
They have a great product, so it's just super cool to watch all the different dynamics working, and obviously, it's something we're fully absorbed into. But nonetheless, again, like I was saying here, I might get long-winded if we got into the pro side, so I'll concede.
A lot to talk about in that regard.
No kidding. But Steve, before we wrap this thing up, is there anything else that the folks should know here? Anything else that they should take advantage of? Things coming up?
No, I mean, just keep an eye out for those sales. We'll be sending out an email blast and putting it on social media. Just wanted to say thank you to you guys for this year, and thank you to all of our customers. I mean, this has been a special year for us. The growth has been unbelievable. And it's just been a humbling ride to see how many people have gotten behind BassFishin Electronics as a brand, and we're super excited for next year to see what that brings, and we just want to continue growing and making a bigger outreach to more guys down the East Coast and making people realize, it's worth the drive to come up here and have us rig your boat and just see what it's all about. And we're just super excited to just keep this growing.
Heck yeah. If there's anybody that's newer to the Serious Angler podcast that hasn't heard Steve on the shows from this past year, we'll have the link down to the website for BassFishin Electronics. Whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on MP3, we'll have that there. You can click that, go check it out, take advantage of the sales going on right now. And of course, like I said earlier, we'll remind you guys when those sales for Black Friday and stuff that you just mentioned coming up here are going. That way you guys can be on top of it, be in the know, and be able to take advantage of those when they become available. But as always, Steve, appreciate you, man, coming on. Always fun conversation.
Thank you.
And man, I'm looking forward to trying to get out on the boat with you this year.
Yeah, we're gonna make that happen next year for sure. Maybe a couple times.
That's what I'm thinking. Some beers and some fishing. I think are in order.
Yeah, hopefully I can get a little more bandwidth, some free time here, and we can get out and do some fishing for sure.
Yeah, hopefully you'll have a boat by then.
He's still taking shots. One time I haven't had a boat.
Oh man,
I gotta put them in anyways because otherwise it's just me in a plastic boat that I'm just getting ripped apart.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. You're gonna have to see this boat we got in the works right now. It's down at JCS Marine in Rhode Island. He's done a total restore for us, so that's going to be a pretty cool project to follow along with. We're going to be posting quite a bit about that. So,
can you name what kind of hull it is?
It's a 2016 Phoenix that was absolutely destroyed on Lake Champlain. So,
geez.
He basically rebuilt the entire boat. So
that's cool.
It's going to be a pretty cool project to see. He took a ton of pictures, and I mean, he basically stripped it down to what you'd see at the factory. So that's going to be pretty cool. He's very ambitious. Let's say that. I would have never got into it. So, but he's done an awesome job. So.
Are you saying it was absolutely destroyed on Lake Champlain as in it was you that absolutely destroyed it?
No. I have a little more respect for my equipment than this one.
Oh, jeez, it was that bad, huh?
And this was no fault of Phoenix. Don't get me wrong. This has nothing to do with Phoenix. This is just blatant abuse to a boat.
Just driving it till the top cap separates and talks as he's running down the lake.
Yeah, pretty much everything separates. The bolt holes for the motor had oblonged in this huge triangle shape because they loosened up and he just kept running it the way it was. So,
jeez.
Yeah.
Oh my!
It's going to be a cool project to see, though. I haven't even, we don't have the finished product yet, but it's going to be special for sure.
That'd be pretty cool. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And if you need to go fishing, I got a cooler that can sit in the back of my kayak if you want to go and make some casts. But
just ratchet strap me on there.
yeah, we'll tie you to it. You got a seatbelt. You'll be all right.
Oh man.
But nonetheless, Steve, appreciate it as always, man. And we'll be talking to you real soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Have a good
one. You got it. Talk to you. Dude, always good getting Steve out in here. And excited about the Black Friday deals coming up, Andy. Taking advantage of if people, I hate to bring up the whole forward-facing sonar thing again, but if there was the whole thing about people not being able to afford electronics, things like that, take advantage of these deals. Now is the time of year to, if you want to get out, whether it's even just you don't have anything and you want to get a 7-inch down imaging unit, something like that. This is the time to do it. From all three brands, he's going to have a bunch of sales. I mean, it currently has the sales going on right now. But we'll be, obviously, as we get closer to the 20th, like you mentioned, further involved, so you guys can take advantage of those. But appreciate Steve. He's living in one of the meccas of bass fishing that everybody loves to go up to Champlain, and I'm looking forward to getting up there with him as well this year. But Andy, what's coming up for you, man? More steelhead guiding, I assume?
Lots of steelhead guiding until about December 20th. I think I'm getting pretty full up until that date. So we're rocking and rolling, putting a lot of miles on the feet and busting out some podcasts here, trying to keep up with the socials, among other things, but doing the best we can. over here.
Trying.
Trying. Yes. Trying.
Oh,
So,
man.
like, if you saw my hands right now, like, I don't know if you can see this, but basically, I'll see if I can turn it that way. My every like joint on both of my hands is cracked. So it's killing me just to like open and close my hands.
Grief, dude.
Yeah, it's fun.
I need to just get some lotion on those puppies.
Oh, I put lotion on them in the morning and before I go to bed. It's the egg.
Oh, he's a 2-timer, eh?
Yeah, 2-timer. Lube them up 2 times.
John King's gonna have fun with that comment.
Yeah, yes. But no, so for steelhead fishing, because I float fish for them, I have to cure eggs, and there's a chemical process of doing it, and that's basically what it is touching the eggs all day and ripping them off the hook and putting them on. It just destroys my hands. So
no, that's not the most fun, but
no.
You gotta do what you gotta do. It's why you're the best.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm the best, but we're sure trying to be better. So
yeah. It's one thing to call out too. A while ago, we put out a feeler for potential interns for social media, things like that, because we certainly could use the help. Because if you guys have seen Serious Angler Network, we're growing. The podcast network is growing quickly, and there's a lot of different things we want to do, but there's only so much bandwidth that we have between the three of us, and obviously 4 now with Justin Largen joining Kayak Fishing Weekly. But it's one of those things where we're trying to make sure it's worth your time. That's the thing that I am so against is a unpaid intern, because I went through that and it was not fun working that much. I'm not saying
getting nothing in return.
Yeah, and it's not even like a 40-hour gig we're talking about. It'll be way less than that. But I guess just to put feelers back out there for people that if you're in high school, if you're in college, and you're rather social media savvy, or maybe you're into journalism as well, you like writing, get in touch with us, whether it's shoot a DM over social or email us at theseriousangler@gmail.com. Trying to put feelers back out there because we like to be, with the big things we have planned for 2024, we sure could use the help. And hopefully we're going to be trying to find the means to make sure you're well compensated for that help. So if you're out there and you're interested, get in touch with us. We'll be, obviously, for the people that, if you're sitting here, you're like, man, I reached out to you, I was one of the guys. We still have your contact info, and we'll reach back out and everything to make sure you guys are still available. But we have high hopes for this brand, and we would not be here today if it wasn't for you guys. So another appreciation and round of applause for all you guys that are out there helping us out big time. I accidentally removed the applause soundbite that I had. Otherwise, I would have totally hit that right there. Yeah,
I got you. No worries. No worries. I got you.
But nonetheless, appreciate you guys. And if you, again, the biggest thing we're trying to push that really would help us out from your guys' end, if you have 2 seconds, if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, those are the 2 biggest platforms that people listen to podcasts on. If you haven't yet, and you could leave us a rating and review, that would be seriously super, super appreciated, because that's the one thing that helps us get seen more. The more ratings we have, the more that those apps show us, and the more they show us, the more viewers, things. Obviously, you can see this trickle down effect, and can help us put more back into you guys, the viewers. So again, appreciate you all. I'll remind you once more, those 2 giveaways down in the comment section, or not in the comment section, good grief, the descriptions for these shows. If you can get in on those, it'd be greatly appreciated. You guys are awesome. And coming up, like I mentioned earlier in the show, we have Caleb Bell and the Project Purple people coming on next Tuesday night for our Thanksgiving special. That'll be live on the 21st, that Tuesday. It's up in the air right now if we're going to do a show for next week, being that it's Thanksgiving, things like that. So we'll let you guys know over social if we're going to end up doing that or not. But in 2 weeks, we'll give you guys a little prelude to what's coming. We're going to wrap this sucker up. Keith Carson on the 28th is going to come on Tuesday Night Live.
Frequent flyer, Keith Carson. I like it.
Yeah. We've had Keith on a good amount, and we'll get Keith on to catch up with him. Maybe some winter fishing in the South for some largemouth, and as well as kind of his point of view of this whole MLF thing from a rookie standpoint, being that he's it's basically one and done this year unless he can get a top 10 AOI. And then in stride with that, for that Friday show, we have just announced he's going to the EQs, the Massmaster Opens. Emil Wagner, freaking hammer that came out and about this year, doing some big things. So we'll get Emil on to talk to you guys, to learn from him. And so we have some really good shows coming up here for you guys. So
awesome.
Heck yeah. Yeah. As always, folks, you guys are awesome. We appreciate you all. We'll see you on the next one.